everybody. Nice to see you guys. How's everyone doing? We got a bunch of familiar faces in the chat. Nice camera turnout from the start. I like it. My name is Bryan. So today we're going to be printing on canvas. We're going to go over the whole process. If we could see some more faces in the chat, that would be really cool. I always like all that personal engagement. I think that really helps, the community vibe. So you guys all get to see everybody. So like I said, we're going to do canvas. We got our close-up cam. And then one thing that we're going to do today that we heard a lot of feedback on is we're going to show you guys the actual direct rip settings. That's something that we got a lot of feedback that you guys wanted to see, so we're going to make sure you guys see that today. And then for the videos that we roll out in conjunction to these creators' live topics, we'll also include those. So keep in mind that we're going to be doing that moving forward. Who saw the hoodie video? Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, so wide format would be a pretty good application for it. So ultimately, once you guys do start printing the related materials, I want to see your feedback and see how it worked out for you guys. Because if there's something that I want to do is make sure that the videos that we create are in-depth enough that you can apply it yourself and still get a good result. So if that means we need to, maybe go into a little bit more detail, talk about more variables, then, that's the kind of feedback that I'm looking for from you guys. So let's go ahead and get into it. We got a pretty good turnout today. The more cameras, the better. Like I said, for those of you who weren't in here at the very beginning, the more one-on-one engagement we can have, the more this ends up feeling like a true community. And that's really what we're going for here. So while you guys get your cameras going, let's go ahead and get right into it. So today, like I've been saying, we're printing on canvas. The canvas that we're using today is Breathing Color Advanced Inkjet Media. This is not something that we sell, but this is the one that we're using. It is individual sheets of canvas, and they are treated for inkjet printers, so we don't have to pre-treat these. Now, another thing that we're doing is we're going to be using the heated vacuum platen for this. Because these are individual sheets and they're not mounted onto wood, we can just drop them right onto the heated vacuum platen, and the vacuum will hold it in place, and I don't know if the heat will really have much of an impact since it's a thicker material, but really the vacuum is the valuable part here to kind of hold the sheet nice and in place. So if you guys don't have one, those heated vacuum platens are really handy, not just for direct to film. In the case that you guys have sheets of canvas or canvas that's mounted onto wood that's untreated, you would need to pre-treat it. You're going to be using light pre-treat for that, and you want to do a very light coating. So in my experience, I got the best results when I would use a roller, and you want to use a fine foam roller. I don't know the exact term for the kind of foam, but if you roll the pre-treat onto the canvas and it leaves bubbles, it's not fine enough. So that's really the deciding factor when you're doing it. It's not going to be those fuzzy, hairy kinds. Alexander's asking, can we tape it to the platen? So it depends on the size of the canvas. So in some cases, the canvas will be larger than your platen, but still within the print area that the printer can reach. If that's the case, then taping it down will curl it at the edges and it'll kind of bubble up on the corners. Not really ideal, and it would just be better to really just lay it on top. If it's smaller, or if you want to cut it down to size manually, then you can tape it along the edges and that would work out fine. In the case that it's mounted to wood already, you wouldn't want to use any platen, and you would just basically treat it like it's already on a platen and pull it into the corner. And the only difference is going to be, instead of using top center in the direct rip, you would leave it in the top left corner. And that will keep everything aligned properly. Let me see. So, any other questions in the chat before moving on?
My question with the canvas is, Can we like take apart a canvas that's on wood and then tuck it into the platen?
I, uh, I don't think that would turn out too good. I think it would not go back onto the wood the right way. If you can remove it
Well,
from the...
there's a way that you can do it to where, because I did it with vinyl, where you would, instead of putting it back around the frame, you would put it behind it and use the wood as a frame.
Oh, okay. Well, if you have a process for that, that's really the main difficulty that I've had is getting it back onto the wood once you take it off. So if you have a workaround for that, then I don't see any issues with that. And I think just simply resting it on top should suffice. But I guess in the case where it's already been wrapped around wood, it might be like pretty curved at the corners. So tucking it in might be a good option. Ultimately, as long as you can make it flat on your print surface, that's the bottom line.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. And let me see, Michael was asking, what was the name again? So this particular one is Breathing Color Advanced Inkjet Media. Let me see if I can get it in there so you guys can see what that looks like. Oh, let's try the other camera. Can you guys see that okay? There we go. So yeah, these ones are treated for optimized for inkjet printers. So that's what we have in-house already. So it ends up making a pretty good product. So I only had to do one trial run. I'll get it on the close-up cam, on the printing cam. If we could switch over. So first try turned out good, but a little bit blurry, fuzzy. And then second try was right on the money. So this is the one that you should be able to get every time. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I think we'll use that same image so you guys can see what it looks like when it's going. First thing, as always, you know, startup of the machine is going to be the same. Nothing special there, but when we're setting up the platen, in this case we're using the heated vacuum platen, so I'm going to go ahead and fire it up. And I want to do my best to have this as straight as possible. The nice thing about the heated vacuum platen is it's wider than the adult platen, so I can more easily center and have this nice and straight. And the vacuum will largely hold it down on the corners. It's not perfect. In this case, this vinyl's kind of been out and it's not very flat, but it's pretty good. So I'm just going to touch the corners so that vacuum can kind of pick it up a little bit better. And we're looking pretty good. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and adjust the height. Okay, that's ready to go. I do have the heat on in case it does have an impact on the print results, because when I was doing my testing, I did have the heating element on. So full disclosure for that, the one that I showed you did have the heat active there. So now what we're going to do is move over to the computer. If we could go ahead and switch to the computer cam. Is that all set up? All right, so we've got our image here. We're going to do environment like normal. In this case, we're using a plus. So we've got the image. We're going to do the quality mode, white cotton. To my knowledge, canvas is a natural fiber, so cotton would be the closest application. In this case, I'm going to print this 12 by 7 just due to the proportions of this graphic. We can do top center. In the case that you're using canvas that's already mounted onto wood, like I was saying earlier, you would just leave it top left corner and you would just put your wood frame into that corner. Alternatively, you could do top center, but then you might have to do a test print just onto the printing bed so you can see what the center would be for that particular graphic, and it just ends up being a little more trial and error, or you have to print your image slightly too large to accommodate for the centering not being exactly perfect. So we've got our position, as always, the port, and in this case, kind of like with the with the direct-to-film, I'm just going to add a little bit of a margin.
So the color strength should be on 25%.
I'm sorry, what was that?
The color strength, it should be 25%, am I right?
In this case, I'm going to have it at 75%. I got good results with it at 75%. That's what was on the picture that I showed you guys.
Okay.
Depending on your canvas, you may need to adjust the color strength. I know this one is branded as being optimized for inkjet printers, but you know, with a regular canvas, the having to apply the pre-treat yourself, since it's going to be a different amount of pre-treat coating than what's on the sheets that I'm using, you may need to adjust your color strength to accommodate that.
So for the pre-treater, do you want how can I go about it? Should we put it on with the brush or with a spray gun?
So I would recommend with a roller. I think you're going to get the most consistent application of pre-treat via the roller. Like I was saying, the fine foam, very fine foam. If it's too porous, it's going to leave bubbles, and those bubbles won't have pre-treat at the center. So as even of an application as you can get, in my experience, using a spray gun or a pre-treat machine will always give you way too much pre-treat. Which is why the roller, in my experience, is the best possibility. From here, one other thing that we want to do is we want to change print direction from by to uni so you can get nice, crisp lines. I'm sure that you guys have all experienced this. If your print height is a little bit higher than like a standard t-shirt, setting it to uni will give you those nice, crisp lines. Otherwise, it'll come out a little bit blurry. So that's what the difference was between those two images that I showed to you guys. The top one was on bidirectional and the bottom one was on uni. So that's really a big deciding factor in the print quality in the canvas. So we're going to click OK. We're going to right click on the image as always, print preview. Ready to go. And we're going to print. All right, so the printing process is going to be the same thing like always for you guys. I'm going to print with the lid open. I've got my clips a little high, so it's going to scrape the inside of the lid. But is there any questions, anything that you guys have? Let me see. Is there a reason you didn't use the auto height adjustment? Is it because the canvas is so wide? Whenever I'm working with different materials such as canvas, hoodies, things that aren't the standard t-shirt, it's my preference to always manually adjust the height just to accommodate for any issues that I might run across. In this case, so far so good. One thing that you may see is that some of the colors may bleed out of the print area. I am seeing that slightly here on the green side. So like what Alexander was bringing up, in this case I think I would want to do another one with a lower color strength to accommodate for that, because that green is looking rather saturated. I don't think you guys would be able to pick it up on the camera. So apart from that, anyone have any other questions while this thing prints? I'm going to start calling on people. Back of the class. Let's see. Caesar, Daryl, William. You guys got any questions? You want to chime in at all? Show of hands. Who's already tried printing canvas on their printers so far, since you've had it? Joel has. Joel has? How did that go, Joel? Do you want to go ahead and unmute and tell us about it?
Yo.
Howdy, howdy.
How's it going, man?
Welcome on the show.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
So
I
what's
did it
your,
on.
uh-huh.
I just got a canvas from Dollarama and pre-treated it with the white cotton pre-treat,
Mhm.
and it worked fine. I didn't have any problems. It was cool.
Did you do it on the vacuum platen or did you?
No, it was already on the so it was already, the canvas was already framed with the wooden
Okay.
frame. So those frames are pretty crappy. So it was kind of warped. So when I was picking
Mhm.
through them at Dollarama, I just had to make sure I got ones with a real nice square frame. And
Yeah,
then
and that's a really good point to bring up.
yeah,
When they are mounted, they don't always sit flat. So
yeah,
in that case, one workaround, obviously you can't really manipulate it to the point where it would sit flat. So the next best thing is to pick through the bunch and pick out the most even ones. And then it's always going to be a good idea to tape down the corners.
yeah,
Get some double-sided sticky tape and keep those corners down to help it be stable while it's printing.
yeah.
Okay, awesome. Do you have any handy that you would be able to show to us?
I don't know. I don't have a webcam set up either.
Okay.
I'm just on the mic here.
Okay, yeah, no worries. Question for you, since it was already on the wood, did you print over the edge or did you do a test print for centering and then take it that way?
I did both, but it was better to print right over the edge.
Okay.
I think
Yeah,
the
that's
trick
what I was thinking.
the trick would be to print right over the edge and then just paint the edges with something, like maybe almost print like a black border around, because it kind of fades out down the edges. So you could either just paint it white again over top of it, or but the at least with those cheap frames, the registration on their assemblies so poor that you just can't crop a square or rectangle and expect it to fit onto the rhombus shaped canvas.
Yep, that's right. Okay, well, I really appreciate you chiming in. That's good to hear from someone else's experience, so it's not just you guys taking my word for it.
Yeah, probably.
Let me see. Mo Money's asking, any preferred types of paper canvas? The one that we're using today, like we were saying, is the Advanced Inkjet Media. That's what we've got right here. So now that this print is done, I can hold it up to camera number 2 here. You guys can see what I was explaining about the green being a little oversaturated. So let me see. Let's see here. So on this side, I don't know if the camera can really make it out, but it did bleed out of my intended print area slightly. Trudy's asking, have you tested light fastness when printing on these canvases? I have not. I didn't even actually consider that as something to test for. So maybe that's something that I need to do some research on, and then we can do an update next Creators Live. I also see that Anna has her hand up. Let's hear from you, Anna. Go ahead.
Hi. Yeah, on the light fastness, I have a number of samples that I've tried because I was using it actually as a personal project to see what I could do with Canvas.
Okay.
And so I have a number of them printed, and a number of them are there are a number of them are in sunlight. But the one thing that I found that really helped was putting on a coating, a finish coating on them. And
Okay.
I ended up using actually just a semi-gloss, like a decoupage. And it really helped enhance the prints, especially if you have something that's a lot of dark, a lot of blacks. You can't see your details until you put something like that on it.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I'll have to play around with that too. I didn't even consider a clear coat over it either.
It made a huge difference. And I did also do the brush coating on mine, but I have a bunch of samples of it. Hold on a second. I will see if I can open the video. These are all printed on canvas.
Oh, wow.
They're all printed on canvas. and small ones
Cool.
like that. Just, these are all canvas prints. This one was a really difficult one because it's so dark.
Oh yeah, I bet.
All the way up.
Those look great.
All right. So, yeah, and so we've done a fair amount of them. I was working on, figured I'd make it fun while I was learning how to do it, and
Certainly.
so there's a number of them. This
Wow.
one was actually printed on a black canvas.
Oh,
White underneath. I wanted to see if I could do it. So this one up here is actually printed on a black canvas.
did you paint it black or did it come
No,
black?
no, the canvas came black. The canvas itself came black. So did this one here. This one was also originally black. These are originally black canvases, and I wanted to see if I could put a white underbase onto it, and if it would bleed too much or not. And it was a while dialing it in, but I got it to work.
Wow.
So, and this one was particularly, you know, because you see how much of it. And the original piece of art was actually painted on black paper.
Okay. And what did you say the name of that coating that you put on afterwards was?
I actually just used decoupage.
Decoupage?
Yeah, but you could use the spray coating. You could actually use the spray coating on it, but I preferred the painterly effect that you get with decoupage because it looks more like brush strokes. And you can't see it, but you can actually see brush strokes in here that give it a more art feel.
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing. I really appreciate you chiming in.
Okay.
That's exactly what we want to see. If you don't mind putting a post up on the Facebook group as well, we'd love to see you in there as well.
No
Okay.
problem.
Okay, so anyone else in the chat have any questions about the process? I know this one was a little bit more straightforward than usual. So from here, what we would do, I would take this over to the heat press, and just like with the Direct-to-Film, you would take it over to the heat press and you would basically hover it at 320 to 90-second intervals, and it should be nice and cured, and it won't smudge at a touch. So, so if anyone has any questions about that.
Actually, that was something that I did have a problem with.
Oh, okay.
I did a hover
Mhm.
and let them dry. And if you have a lot of color on it, it always was prone to smudging if you rubbed it. That's one of the reasons why I ended up, and now I don't have a plus machine.
Okay.
I have a TX. So I don't know if there's a difference in the DuPont versus the Gamut inks. And maybe that's why it works a little differently. But one of the reasons I even looked at coating in the beginning was that the black showed up as matte. And because it was matte, and I would rub it and it would just rub right off. Or not like rub right off, but it was easy. You could actually get ink on your hand if you touch it. So I don't know if that is a difference in the inks or not, but that's why I started coating.
Okay. Yeah, so all of my trial has been with the Gamut inks, so maybe that's a good disclosure as well. And once I cured it, I didn't experience that issue, or at least I didn't notice any. I wasn't like rubbing anything against it, but I think I gave it adequate handling with no visible transfer to my hands or to any of the surfaces that it was coming in contact with. So that may be a difference between the inks, but I think overall a coating over top would still give you a superior product over just having a print on canvas and that's it. So I still think that's a good addition to the process, regardless of whether or not you go and cure the ink. So thank you for chiming in again. That's also still appreciated. Okay, so I think, let's see here. let me see, is there anything else regarding this that I wanted to cover that maybe I'm forgetting? Let me see, does anybody, let me see, Trudy's asking if we can do off topic a little. We can always do off topic, don't you worry about that. My only other question is about the new Windows update and if the software runs fine on it. Installing new operating system versions makes me nervous since there's no easy way to go back. I have not heard anything about any ill effects from Windows 11, but I have not tested it personally, and you guys know I only like to give advice from personal experience just to make sure that I can speak on it confidently. So I'm going to hold off on an opinion. I'll research that and I'll come back to you guys next week and I can update you on that. But thank you for bringing that up. That's something that I will ask about. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and do another print just so that you guys can see the process one more time in case someone came in late. Otherwise, what I want to hear from you guys is what you want to see next week. We already have a couple of ideas. I think most likely we're going to be doing hats. So if you have any hat-related troubles or any hat-related topics that you want to make sure that we talk about, go ahead and drop it in the chat so that we have those bullet points to make sure that we address as well. Off topic, do you have a favorite t-shirt brand and style? Personally, I really like the scallop bottom t-shirts. Usually I'll just, forgive me for saying this, I know we work in the t-shirt industry, but I am guilty of just going to Walmart and buying unprinted, no branding, no logos, no designs, and I'll just go ahead and get the scallop bottom tees, little pocket here, and that's it. No print. I know that's a little bit sacrilegious in this industry. I'm not running around with super elaborate, like complicated prints or anything. But that's kind of just my preference. Mo Money wants to see ugly sweaters. So that kind of ties into what we did last week. So with any kind of sweatshirts are largely going to be the same process that we covered last week. So if you guys want to see ugly sweaters specifically, we can do a little bit more festive of a theme and kind of print a more ugly sweater style if that's what you guys want to see as well. So I'm going to get this other print going. Just give me 1 second. We need to screen share the direct rip. Okay, you guys can see that. So I'll just run through it one more time in case someone missed it. So we have our image here. We're going to go to Environment, Quality, White Cotton. From last time, there was a little bit of bleeding, so I want to take color strength down a notch. It was pretty bright. It was pretty vibrant overall. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. It was just that one edge of green that was particularly saturated, so I'm going to only drop it down by 5 points and see how that goes. Since I rotated the canvas, I'm going to leave it top center, leave the size alone, and 0.5, and we're going to make sure it's set on print direction uni. In case you missed it, that's going to make the printer print in only one direction so that you get nice crisp lines and nice clean image. Particularly with things like photos, that's going to be really important so that you can get all of that photo detail in there. All right, so we're going to go ahead and let that go. I'm going to be watching out for the chat. Anna's saying, what about printing on scarves? I have screen printed on jersey scarves in the past. I would like to do it this time with DTG. I'm gonna have to add that to the list of things to try out. I don't think I've ever printed on a scarf before. Is there a particular style? Because if it's the kind of scarves that I'm thinking of, it's a little bit too like hairy for what I'm thinking. The fibers would just be too out of control to really do good DTG on it. Pants, jeans, sweatpants. Okay, so just bottoms. Yeah, we can do, what do you guys think about doing one on pants and shorts and things? You guys want to see a Creators Live on bottoms? Yeah, resounding yes. Okay, so we're gonna have to get some shorts and pants and jeans. Gosh, I can't think of any designs that wouldn't look tacky on jeans. Do you guys have any ideas of designs that would look good on jeans? If you guys are in the Facebook group, can you guys drop some designs of things you would want to see on pants and jeans and stuff so that I can play around with it? Because like for shorts, okay, I can think of like, you know, little circular logos like what they do for like wrestling teams and stuff, for sports teams. We can include long sleeves in it. So we can just do like a sleeve platen episode and just go over a variety of things that the sleeve platen can do. Jose's asking, why are we printing top center? I thought you were supposed to be printing top left. So top left is if it's already mounted onto wood to account for centering being a difficulty. Because we have it on the heated vacuum platen, it's quite easy to make sure it's nice and center and straight. So that's why we're doing top center instead of top left. Let me see. Black scroll work on jeans would look cool. Scroll work. What's scroll work? I'm not familiar with that term. Is that like fancy writing? Like what they do with them? Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay, yeah. So we can definitely do that next week. I think that's a good one for next week. Okay. All right, so that print is pretty much done. People like names. Yeah, okay. Names and decorative writing on jeans. Okay. All right, so that print is all finished. This one did turn out a little bit better. I think I like it more. The colors kind of match the screen a little bit better. I don't know if you can really tell in the close-up cam, but ultimately I do like these prints. I think they turned out pretty good. So what I want to hear from you guys, oh, scroll work. Okay, gotcha. Oh man, that looks like what were those jeans in the 90s that like fan out at the very bottom? Jinko jeans. Kind of looks like the designs you'd see on those. Totally. So would you stretch this over a wood frame? Kari, that's part of it that I have zero experience and nobody around here is able to really tell me about it on how you would apply this to wood. I imagine you would use some sort of light glue or maybe like a staple gun or something to put this onto wood. In this case, I think I printed the image a little bit too close to the edge in order to mount it onto wood. So I think this would go into a picture frame a little bit better than over wood. Yeah, maybe a regular frame with no glass. I think that would be a good one too. I think I would still want to do the clear coat so that even if there was glass, it's not going to smudge the glass. But I think that's all that we have for a real skill to frame it. Okay. Also a significant added cost. Okay. Well, I'm glad I didn't get into that whole ordeal then. So let's do one more call out for questions. If there's anything else that you guys want to talk about, I am all ears. Consider me a total resource for whatever miscellaneous questions you have. I see Jose, you're raising your hand. Let's hear from you. Jose.
Can you hear me?
I sure can. Welcome to the show.
I have a quick question for you. So I was trying to print today, and for some reason, when I put the image, the artwork into the software and everything, for some reason it's not throwing ink. So it's just like it moves and everything, the printer's moving and everything, but just no ink at all.
Have you printed a nozzle check recently? How does that look?
Yeah, actually, so the nozzle check did come back out good, but no ink. Like after I did the artwork and everything on the software, nothing came out for none of the colors.
What I would want you to do, close the direct rip, open it back up. You may have deselected all of the different color channels or something funky like that. So let me have you close it, open it up again, maybe try rebooting the computer while you're at it, and then give it another shot. If it's still giving you problems, we're gonna drop my email in the chat. Please utilize it, reach out to me, and we'll connect and take a look at what's going on. Because if it's able to print a nozzle check but not print a design, it's gotta be a pretty simple solution. There's not that many things that can really hold it up like that.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you.
So my email address is in the chat there. So please, anybody, this applies to everybody in the group here. Please utilize me for any questions or issues that you may be having. And the platen we are using is the heated vacuum platen. This was developed specifically for the direct-to-film process, but it's perfectly good for the type of oh my gosh, the type of canvas that we're printing on today. It was the perfect size and it holds it nice and flat. So that was a nice dual purpose that I was able to get out of it. So let me see. Any other questions, Brian? What style of Spectra t-shirt do you use for the 4-hour training? So the shirts that we have in-house are the Spectra 100% cotton ring spun. I don't know if there's like a particular product code or like if they have a whole bunch or if they just have one ring spun cotton, but we use 100% cotton ring spun from Spectra for our in-house trainings. And we also have some trainers in the chat as well. So if you wanna, if any of you guys wanna go ahead and chime in, we can hear from you as well. I'm new to DGG printers, and I'd like to know more about pre-treatment. At the moment, I do it with the spray gun. My question would be, how many ounces or milligrams should be applied in each type of garment? That is there a table where you can calculate the amount? So each garment is going to receive pre-treat in a different way. Some garments will be more absorbent than others, some will have more loose fibers than others, and some of the dyes will react differently to the amounts of pre-treat. So Caesar, to answer your question, it depends on the garments that you're using. It also depends on the humidity and temperature in your environment as well. So it is a little bit of trial and error to really dial in the exact amount of pre-treat that you would need for your garments. I'm sure the whole group can really attest to that as well. It's a little bit of trial and error. Generally, it's not too complicated. It's just try a little bit more. No, didn't really like it. Try a little bit less. Right on the money, give or take. What weight is best for the following paper craft silicone Teflon. So the craft sheets and the silicone sheets we sell on our online store. So I'm not familiar with what weight they would be. I would say just get it from our online store. As far as Teflon, I haven't really worked with Teflon using the printer, so I wouldn't really be able to tell you there either. I'm sorry, Jose. Okay, all right, well, we'll move on. I think we're gonna wrap it up there. Thank you guys for your input today. The engagement's been really great so far, so I really hope to see you guys next week. I think we're gonna take the group's advice. We're gonna go ahead and do pants and shorts and jeans and stuff next week. We're gonna really utilize the sleeve platen and show you guys all kinds of cool prints. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. So check our YouTube this week. We're gonna drop the YouTube video for the same stuff that we covered today, and we're gonna make that a trend each time that we have a new topic on Creators Live. There's gonna be a companion YouTube video. And then also this episode of Creators Live will drop onto the YouTube in the coming weeks as well. So thank you all so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next week at 2.